Good morning, everybody. Today is Wednesday, July 7th. It's another beautiful sunny day here in Los Angeles, California, and you are joining us live behind the lights and cameras of the TV show Wake Up, Explore Your Passion to hear the personal successes and real challenges in the pursuit of a dream here in Hollywood. This is Wake Up Radio. I'm your host, Ryan Ray, and joining me live today is my co-host and good friend, Mr. Fuzz Edwards. How's it going today, Fuzz?
Fantastic as always, Ryan, and we want to thank everyone that's watching and listening to us. As always, we'll be taking your live calls throughout the show. So if you have a question or comment about something that you hear, please give us a call at 646-727-3841. That's 646-727-3841.
Absolutely, and of course, we always appreciate all of you joining us live in the chat room today. We've got Brian Shelton and many others that are signing in, and also joining us live here in the studio is our guest today, Siri Shiva. Thank you so much for being here, Siri. I really appreciate your coming out and joining us.
Always good to see you, my friend.
Buzz.
A lot of the reading that I've been doing, a lot of the development that I've been doing, meditation plays such an important role. And we've talked on other shows about how that seems eerie, that seems spooky. Meditation is for the, those people, the flighty people, or people who aren't really grounded in reality.
Mm-hmm.
And yet all the stuff that I'm reading is like, no, it's the exact opposite. This helps ground you in the reality. And so one of the problems that I have is, again, just letting all my thoughts go, trying to become blank, if you will.
It sounds, Siri Shiva, like what you're doing with your meditation. It's not about letting thoughts go. It's about focusing on just one thought. Does that help you center in and actually be more productive meditator, if there is such a thing?
Meditation is like a irritable child. You're always training it. And so there are 2 points I want to address. First, the mind is, if you look at it as consciousness, like waking, dreaming, and deep sleep with no dreams, is different states of consciousness. What meditation does, the training of the mind, is it enables us to actually focus the mind and to be able to navigate through what we'll say we perceive as reality with more conscious control. The first meditation was actually in West Hollywood at the Parade, and the subsequent meditation was actually in Venice on the boardwalk. And it was absolutely great, Ryan, and we had random people come, some people I didn't know, most of the people I did, and it's a really great opportunity for beginning meditators as well as advanced practitioners to really center themselves on the breath or the mantra, whatever they're focusing on, because when you have all this stuff going on, to be able to really ground yourself is amazing.
Now, what I find so interesting about it, excuse me, is that, again, you've chosen these places where there's so much going on.
Venice Beach.
Venice Beach is it's a tourist spot. There's all kinds of rollerblading activities going on, and you pick that spot. And when I think meditation, I think, okay, I got to turn off all the lights. I've got to close all the curtains. There can't be even a fan blowing away. There has to be total darkness and quiet. And I love the fact that, again, you've chosen a place that's the exact opposite of that.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you do that? Like, what's the...
Okay.
Because I'm having, again, I have trouble even when it's just pitch black. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, there's nothing going on, and that's when my thoughts really start swirling.
Okay.
So
I've been meditating now for almost 8 years. I started with transcendental meditation. I've played with Vipassana, with Zen mindful meditation. And so I pull from a couple different, tools when I'm actually practicing. And, meditation to me is a lot like training a dog. When you train a dog or a puppy, you want to train it at home where there are no distractions so that it gets in the world of, if you will, what it's supposed to do. Then you take it onto the street, and then you take it onto a major street. And there's a progression that happens.
okay.
And so I do have beginners who meditate with me, and it's still a great experience. And what I've found, for us to answer your question, is back in 2004, I used to meditate on the train in Chicago. And I was doing TM, Transcendental Meditation at the time. And I get my mantra going, and everything's gone. Don't hear the train, don't hear the people, nothing. And I'm still there enough that usually 1 to 2 stops before the stop I'm supposed to get off on, I would come out of my meditation, okay, and I start my day. And so it was that experience that gave me, it's possible to meditate anywhere. And what meditation is, I want to distinguish that for you. Most people think I need to be in a quiet room. And what meditation is the ability to be able to single-handedly or single-mindedly focus on one object. So whether that's following the breath, if you're following the thoughts, if you're using a mantra, there's always that one thing that the mind is focused on, and when you can focus on that, everything else falls away. That's where the peace and the calm comes from. It's a two-handed sword. Like when I was on Venice Beach, there were cops that came by and they cited the camera lady. I had no idea because I was in a zone. Now, if you ever watch on YouTube the Venice Beach, I actually heard the fire truck go by, but I didn't know it was a fire truck because I was like kind of gone. And so for me, I usually follow my breath, and I actually teach pranayama, so like I can take a minute inhale and a minute exhale. I've done up to a minute and a half, 2 minutes on both breaths. So I share that to say that at any given point, if it gets too loud, then I may introduce a mantra so that I can like take my awareness off of the sound and give it a sound to anchor on. And then once I feel like, okay, the sound is starting to go away, then I just let it go and I go back to my breath. And so that is where the benefit of having a teacher that can kind of open up Pandora's box of tools for you, because the same thing doesn't work for everybody. Like you may be great with mantra while Fuzz is better at following his breath.
Okay, well, now that's interesting because two words that have come up that a beginner or someone watching the program may not be familiar with is
Pranayama.
Okay, and then mantra. So could you kind of clue us
Okay,
into
great.
what those are?
Yeah, so pranayama is a fancy Sanskrit way of saying breath control.
Okay.
It's a breath exercise.
Okay.
And then mantra is a word or phrase that's repeated.
Okay.
So traditionally the Buddhists and the Hindus, they may do it in Tibetan Sanskrit or Hindi, but you can have an English mantra like love and just be repeating love in your mind. And any word that has what we'll consider high vibration, makes you feel good quality, is sufficient to anchor the consciousness.
I love that we're addressing this on the show today, because in previous shows we've talked about meditation and my struggle with it, and I know you are using it quite a bit here recently. You've made it a part of your morning ritual, and it's funny because I think maybe a lot of people out there, and even myself every once in a while, perceive it as something just a little bit out there, a little bit too far. And even then, you describing it, when you start talking Sanskrit and things that, those have nothing to do with my world right now. Those are foreign languages, those are foreign words, and etc.
Fuzz, one of the things that Brian Shelton in the chat room is saying is that this sort of form of meditation that you're practicing, which can be done in just about any environment, really opens it up and makes it more accessible to those of us who aren't typical meditators.
And that's where I was going with that. I love the fact that how many times have we gotten all crazy just before the show? We've gotten all crazy and we stop, and what do we do? We think, okay, let me just take a breath.
I think sometimes for me that taking the breath it's like the last resort. I can't do anything. I've broken down. There's no more. The stress can go nowhere else.
But isn't that maybe somewhat where you need to be, that kind of reconnecting and that just releasing some of that? And so in a very simplistic, I don't want to dumb stuff down too much, but that's kind of meditation, right? When you stop and you take that breath.
It is.
It's not supposed to be complicated.
Well, meditation isn't complicated, and most people try to learn it through a book instead of actually having a teacher to guide them through it. So those questions that come up aren't answered, which then gives it the occurring. It makes it feel or seem like it's hard. Ryan, you said something that was really great.
Making meditation accessible.
Making meditation accessible. It had to do with the mantra and it being accessible, and it's gone for me.
That's okay.
The breath.
You were too busy thinking about your mantra.
No, it was the breath, actually. So what is so great about meditation, how it works, so to address the breath, Fuzz, is that every emotion we have is connected to a breath state. So you're going to have a shorter, choppy breath when you're angry than when you're anxious, and you'll have a different breath when you're happy than when you're elated. So every emotional state has a breath pattern that's attached to it, including in Tantra Yoga, sexual states. You can raise sexual energy or hold it back based on what the breath is doing because of how it controls and maneuvers energy and consciousness in the body.